Want to have your own business but don't want to start from scratch? Franchising might be the answer you're looking for. Welcome to the Level Up with Nick Lopez show. The show that brings you thought leaders in business, franchising, and high-performance personal development. Whether you're a buyer, seller, franchisee, franchisor, or a consultant, find everything you need to know about franchising right here. Own a business without the pain and financial losses that come with creating it. Find the time, freedom, and financial independence you can have through entrepreneurship. Learn how franchising can help you get there. Listen up and get ready for another episode of the Level Up with Nick Lopez show.
Welcome to the Level Up show with Nick Lopez, where we have the absolute pleasure of learning from thought leaders in business, franchising, and high performance personal development. Today's guest certainly fits that bill. Neil Twa, CEO and co-founder of Voltage Holdings. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it, Nick.
Awesome. So Voltage Holdings, what is it? And specifically, how did you start it?
Yeah. So Voltage is an incubator. The holding company is multiple brands that we own and operate within our structure. We have 12 brands that we own and manage and control. In that process, having gone through 17 years of business building since I left my corporate job and fired the man a long time ago, learned to go the one direction and then pivot and go a different way, which is business at the end. It's agility in the market. It's following the money when it moves. It's finding niches and developing multiple streams of income within them. E-commerce is something I landed on in around 2009 and 10 when I was looking at direct marketing for my consulting company. When I built Voltage, it was really to move away from what we had originally created in our own infrastructure, which was 12 employees and 21,000 square foot of warehouse and a whole infrastructure. And we actually had physical products running on Amazon's platform being delivered by Amazon and realized that there had to be an easier way to do this. So when we developed the concept of Voltage, it was to take and actually train high-level operators to become CEOs of companies and got away from the employees and actually moved into training business owners to become executives of e-commerce companies. So as we trained them up over the years, we've raised up a number of businesses with these operators who now operate and grow these companies. They have now operating our companies we acquire, companies we're building for our clients. And so we've kind of become a boutique, if you will, consulting agency on the digital marketing side, while being an actual operator and grower of the businesses, now exiting companies that we've grown, companies we're helping our clients exit, and we're also into acquisitions to buy companies that match into our brand portfolio. 5 of them by the end of 2025 is our goal right now. So we're kind of a little bit of different things within our holding company, of which the digital marketing component of Amazon and e-commerce is one vertical, along with a software vertical, and as well as our own operations in multiple companies that we operate. I got into it really because I was going to go become an aggregator, and I was going to raise capital to continue to grow our acquisition portfolio, which I did. I raised a couple home offices up, $50 million each. We were going to paper in around November of 2021. Realized the market segment. My partner came to me. He's our COO, CFO, and also my co-founder, Reed Larson. Came to me and said, "Hey, I got to show you the data. This doesn't look good." I spent the last 18 months going through this process of making the connections and getting through all the rigmarole of raising capital, which is quite an extensive effort. And he realized that we couldn't buy the companies. The market had basically elevated the cost of 40% above actual market. And if we were to acquire these companies, it just wouldn't pan out in the next 24 months. No matter how good we operated the companies and how strong we could operate them, it just wasn't going to pan out. Unfortunately, there were a lot of other companies that got involved in the aggregation space around Amazon who have found out very hard the things that we learned early as business developers and owners and operators. They discovered that along the way. Maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe they didn't know any better. I'm not sure what. But a number of them have actually gone bankrupt and capitulated and closed down shops, and even one is being investigated by the SEC. And it turned into a major nightmare. So I'm glad we didn't get involved in that. But we have continued through the process of building and growing and exiting and acquiring these companies as we were doing previously. and now have a small private equity group, a more centric focused version of this called Patriot Growth Capital that we're partnered with to go out. And it's a veteran-backed, veteran-owned, veteran-operated business. The operators for the companies that are going to be acquired will be trained by us into those companies. And it's the purpose-driven aspect of keeping veterans, off the streets, giving them opportunity, having a pathway out of the military for them and their families, and giving them the opportunity within 5 years to buy the company back from us. So that's a little bit different driven purpose and value, which is good. Am I answering your question, or am I going too far down the line here?
I love it. I see entrepreneurship being expressed, and I'm being inspired. So I appreciate you sharing.
Sure.
What else would you like to share?
Well, it didn't come without its challenges. You invent and you innovate. There are a couple of different ways to look at business. Business for me is creative. It's right brain. I was a musician since the 4th grade until I went through college on a music scholarship and played classical jazz and trumpet, big band and jazz. So creativity and fluidity of music was always a part of my life. So when it came to business, when people were like, you can't do this, I'm like, why not? It doesn't sound right to me. If you have to go this way and do this thing. And I'm like, well, why can't we do it this way? And I would always torque people off, right? No, this is the way it has to be done. I'm like, well, it can be done a different way. Music is fluid. Jazz is improvisation. I'm like, why can't business have some improvisation to it? I know it exists. I see other people doing it. And yet I had people telling me it couldn't be done. So I always bucked that idea, that I had to go a certain way, a certain path, and a certain thing. And the creativity aspect of that was where business kind of shined for me. And I got locked a little bit into the corporate world until 2007, which was kind of hard to get out of. And through some motivation, a mentor that died earlier than I would have liked him to due to an accident kind of helped spawn my need and desire to finally get out of the corporate world, which I had been wanting to do for a while. I simply got into it because that's where money was being spent. I actually jumped out of college and left early because at the time the internet was coming online, it was academia or professional world. You basically had a choice to go figure out how to work your way into what was happening because nobody else really knew what was going on. We opened the first computer lab in my college and put the computers in it. I know I'm dating myself, right? But this was a big time, a big change. And so I had to drop out of college to go basically figure out how to make some money in this space and go after it. So I went down the corporate track for a while. That landed me in IBM and eventually left IBM in 2007 when I realized it was the right time to go. And that mentor's dying was a catalyst for me to do something that he encouraged me to do and continually, suggested I do something different and get out of that corporate world. And, it took me a couple years after that to kind of get things together. And then I did burn the boats, not the bridges, burn the boats, left, said I'm never going back. And, the pivoting components of that, there's a lot of change that occurred in my life during that period. Not everything was rosy. I got too heavily invested into a company that I thought was going to be an amazing opportunity and invention. And I was on the patent and I got, some partners in that. And we got into what it turned out to be financial trouble that I wasn't aware of. And I discovered some of the things that shouldn't have been happening in the company. And I've become too heavily leveraged in, put too much money into it. And so a business bankruptcy strategy was my only outcome to indemnify myself, step away from it because I had nothing to do with the way the funds were being used and kind of had to reinvent myself and start over. And I knew my skill set. I know e-commerce. I know business development. I know the online world. And so it's like, what do I actually want to do? I really want to be in the e-commerce world. Like that's where I want to stay. I want to be on the online side. And somebody basically told me I should be selling on Amazon. I said, hey, if you like the digital side and the marketing and direct response and you're pretty good at it, you should come check out the physical product world. You could building brands and doing this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how to build a brand. And so he kind of showed me the ropes of that and showed me how I could use Amazon to basically become a traffic source of people coming in and buying products, how to use Fulfilled by Amazon to ship the products and put them into their system so I didn't have to touch the product. And that evolved into creating some really great brands. And when we diversified, like all people do at times, sometimes it works really well and sometimes it doesn't. And one of those areas was to diversify into flipping more products faster in a more arbitrage methodology. Brand new products we were getting from third-party wholesalers, which led us to having a 20,000 square foot warehouse and ended up with 12 employees doing about 10 truck rolls a week. And it sounded all really good and fine. It just turns out that it didn't make us a whole lot of money and we ran into a whole lot of problems. It took us about 2 years to shut that all down. And that was a not the best way to work that process, but learned how to, grow that business. We turned it into an 8-figure revenues, but it was only a single-digit profit. So we really realized that was just a big job, a lot of money, but a lot of effort. And I was flying between here and Salt Lake City, where the warehouse was, and that just wasn't friendly to my lifestyle either, because we live on 50 acres in the country, and my wife and I homeschool our kids, and we hang out, and it's a totally lifestyle-driven business that we have. And so that got kind of disrupted in the flow. Opportunity cost, right? And long story short, I realized that wasn't the way to do it, but I still needed the operations. I still needed the people. I'm more on the right side of the brain. My partner is on the left. Or is it left and right? Which one's creative and which one's? I get this backwards sometimes. Maybe I'm a little dyslexic in the brain, but I'm more creative. He's more tactical. He's more logistics, operational, finance. That's why he's a CFO. He loves the details and things, and there's a path through everything and operations, et cetera. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, why not? Why not? Let's just jump off the bridge and see what happens, right? We'll build something on the way down. So we kind of complement each other in that way. We're kind of two heads make one, right? And so he's, very strong in that way. And I was like, but we don't want to get back into employees. So how do we do this? And there's where the concept idea was, well, if we train specific people, not in like a course, not to sell courses and just make money off of that nonsense, but how do we actually get people, qualify people, help them build something while gaining some value in themselves and their business, and helping them create a business while we're doing ours, and then see if there's any interest in their, partnering with us. Partnering with us as operators, trainers who know the business that we trained up. And that model has actually worked extremely well. My coaches now are business builders that we taught and trained who run their own companies, but also help coach and mentor our clients that we're looking for. And we have product partnerships that are ran by operators who have been trained by us and vetted by us and running companies already in e-commerce that they can help others learn how to do. And the companies that we're acquiring are going to raise up operators that were already trained within us as well. So we've kind of raised an ecosystem of people inside of our incubator to go and run these companies. So I don't have any employees. Long story short.
Yeah. And you shared that story, which was incredible, by the way. But you mentioned it didn't sound like it was always smooth sailing. Clearly, there was a ground zero through bankruptcy, and that led to you becoming super clear about where you could express your talents.
Yeah, had to pivot. No choice when you have $269 in the bank account and 3 kids. You're like, well, now what do I do? I had to reset everything, pay off lawyers, pay off debt, pay off everything, and it's like, wow, there's all the money gone. So now I have to come back from that. No credit score. So I have to do it in a bootstrapping way. And so that was a pretty good challenge. No doubt about it.
Right. And ultimately settled into e-commerce.
Correct.
Online, the online space.
Yeah. I'd been in the digital side of it on the lead generation and affiliate marketing side for paid traffic and media, taking media ad buys and spend across Facebook and paid traffic and digital marketing and mobile marketing. And arbitraging other people's products for $1, 70 cents, $5, whatever the arbitrage would be, and was flipping digital products and actually got pretty good at it. So I really understood the direct response marketing, creating a problem reaction solution narrative, and being able to build traffic and mechanisms, and got pretty good at the media buying side of it. I just didn't connect the physical product side to it. And people might look at it and say, well, you added more complexity, but in actuality, what I added was a product base. It's a tangible physical product base in which capital can be moved into that product base, and it has a valuation to it, right? Whenever we buy or sell a company, there's the company itself plus the inventory. Inventory can be wrote down at the end of the year. Inventory creates an opportunity to move capital out of fiat and into physical and tangible products. With the tangible nature of those products, the value of the product and the brand increases greatly in the same way you buy a car or a Nike shoes or your iPhone. The transactional relationship with the customer changes dramatically than a digital product. It's why our books, for example, get sold more on paperback than digital, because the world still wants tangible, things in their hands. As much as so many people push for the, evolution of digital format and AI and all this technology, there's a huge pushback the other direction to just be in person, have conversations, and with tangible, goods to hold on to. So we're still very much a tacit-based, touchable society. And so it made sense to me to get into the physical product space. I could understand it. a lot better, right? I understood the digital side and component, but I couldn't connect certain parts of the customer experience in my mind without a physical product. And so as I got into the physical products and realizing that there's just a huge economy of it, it's bartering and selling and buying products is not new. It's nothing under the sun. It's just e-commerce. The technology and the internet made it possible to do it, in a 1 to million ratio, not a 1 to 1 or 1 to 10 at a market share, or a 1 to 1,000 or 10,000, depending upon the size of the local audience you had to sell at a retail store. This is like 1 to millions, 1 to billions if you go international. So with that, my brain was like, the possibilities of expanding are just huge. And we got in and we started to flip some products and test it out, tested out the physical side of Amazon. It's Engine is very familiar to engines and AI technology I was working on during the IBM days. So it became very familiar to me at the way it was ranking and looking at data, and, the algorithms were showing products to people. Extremely familiar with that because we worked on those systems at IBM. And the physical side of it, my partner understood the logistics and operations. And so he figured out how to make sure we got that done right. Amazon helps a lot with that. In fact, their fulfillment by Amazon, the FBA side, we call it the done for you, component of this. It's automated. When you get your products in there, that system is handling products last mile to the customer, returns. It's doing all that for us. It's quite an engine. It's a miracle the dang thing even works. But it is fascinating, being that when they bought that logistics company and rebranded it as FBA, they were selling books and wanted to sell more physical products. So they bought a company, which is a logistics company. And that has now turned into the 6th largest logistics company in the world, planes, trains, and automobiles and everything. So it's a major juggernaut of product movement now. When we put products in there and automate that process, we then turn more into the direct response marketer, branders, strategists, and marketing people that sell physical products that happen to be delivered by, Amazon's system. And I can do the same thing through another channel on TikTok shops because Amazon can deliver my products. And if I go and open a Shopify store and run paid traffic and YouTube and Facebook and other ads, those products get delivered by Amazon. It's just a big logistics company. So once I set up that framework, for my Amazon business side for a product and a brand, and we get inventory into Amazon's warehouses, then I can take their warehouse and logistics system and turn it into a 3PL or a third-party logistics for any of the other channels we sell under. So it creates more simplicity, doesn't require more employees. I don't need a warehouse. And basically, I have multiple operators with multiple businesses being ran through blinky lights, dashboards, and logistics without ever touching the product or being in a warehouse. So that flexibility gives us the opportunity for growth and scale at numbers that are incredible. Most people can't understand the scope of the internet and how large it is, and the fact that, only, what was I seeing the other day? Something like 7% of the visible internet we use or will use through our life, and the rest of it's on the dark web, right? And there's just so much information and movement and digital movement of products and just information that people can't quite comprehend the size of it. As much as they can comprehend what $1 million looks like, or $1 billion, or $1 trillion, these things roll off the language now so fast through media, social media, the news, etc., and people just can't comprehend quite how much that actually is, any more than they can comprehend how Amazon moves 8,600 products a minute through their systems. At 8,600 products a minute, that is a lot of infrastructure, right? And that means there's a lot of buyers, there's a lot of demand. So I learned to take our products to Amazon first and capture that demand. It's already there, right? It's like going to a marketplace where everybody wants to buy. That's why they're there. And I put my product and my wares out and I set them on the table and I say, hey, which one of these do you like to buy? And the ones that sell the most get the most money and the most marketing. And the process we developed, called the green light process, determines the profitability of the product so we know which ones sell. And after having launched and failed and succeeded at enough products over enough time between ourselves and our clients, more than 1,000 launches in the last 10 years, we see the data now. We see what works. We see what's on the market. We see what's trending. We understand the data points for profitability and the major metrics to pay attention to. And it becomes a repeatable process. And then it's just time and market and the ability to overtake competition and, perseverance and tenacity and not failing out of the market. And so now we deal with things that are very different than I could have possibly imagined, moving at speeds I sometimes can't comprehend myself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And, you mentioned the opportunity, just the size and scale of the internet, from an e-commerce
Oh, yeah.
perspective.
It's changed so much.
It's absolutely massive. And I love how you mentioned 7% we'll use in our lifetime. uh, as you were talking, I was thinking about just the importance of AI synthesizing that 93%, right? And how much it'll be critical for us to leverage AI to, take advantage of all of the opportunity and information. There's so much, and the world's ever changing technology. My gosh, and I thought a lot about just kind of virtual bartering, and our kids in that generation are going to
Mm-hmm.
take to that way of experiencing the marketplace, and tangible assets will be digital, and it's just fun to
Just digital currency is one example, right? We've gone from fiat currency and tangible dollars in our pockets to the possibilities of completely digital currencies, which it has its positives and its negatives. It's all about who controls what and what access we have to it, and who has access to us through it, which comes down to the values of freedom and where you value freedom in your life and what you're willing to give up for certain gains, etc. Personally, seeing the effect of this in the business and the market, AI for me is just top of the iceberg, just tip of the iceberg right now. I've seen what it's capable of doing on super machines at IBM and the Cray machines and Deep Blues and stuff. And I know that they had quantum computing and stuff decades ago. So the affect of AGI and sentient computing and technology is probably already available. They just haven't rolled it to the internet. So right now we're just being adopted and conscripted into what AI will become through systems that we can play around with and barely comprehend. If you go out and just average, it's so wide open. It's so still new that for some people who are maybe listening to this, they think, well, I've heard about that. I understand it. I've got my complex. If you go out to ask the average Joe on the street and just walk down through the middle of the city and ask people what's Bitcoin, most of them aren't even going to know. They just don't know it yet. They don't understand it. It's really, really new. Those who understand what the technologies can do and how to apply them to their business or how to utilize them as a business are the ones that are going to win. I don't know that AI is going to be something that replaces us for quite a long time, but I do know that it is something that's going to replace people in their ability to use it to create enhancements and competition in the marketplace. We've used it to time compress activities that would take days or weeks down to days and hours. So we've been able to compress time and information. We've been able to take large, copious amounts of data and compile those LLM information down and use them for marketing and advertising and management of PPC systems and stuff, where the systems are now competing system to system. And if you're trying to compete with them as a human, you're going to lose, right? Because you can't compete at that level of size if you don't understand how the other game is being played. It's going to be an unfair advantage or a disadvantage if you don't figure it out. So we've used it for images and graphics and making our listings, and the media, and even the voices are digital, and the images and graphics are digital, and the idea of complex deep fakes and other things is becoming a real reality, from cloning voices to deep fakes and faces and stuff. There's some real questions of ethics and morals that have to be countered in some of this stuff, or become dangerous to society. But as an opportunity, it has a lot of ability to move and compress time, as well as be efficient in the things that we're doing. And in our business, we've used it in a number of places to actually just make it easier and faster to do what we do. Even our systems we developed internally that we have for our own company go out and automatically research Amazon for us, pulling in data and information and products and presenting it to us so we can go look at it and say, hey, is this the next product in our pipeline? So we have automated research assistants, okay? We have GPTs inside of our coaching that are for different areas of the business that we can communicate with and our clients can communicate with, that we constantly update and are grab and scraping information and composing it and then representing it back through those GPTs specific to our products, processes, playbook, and methodology that our clients can use to just simply ask questions, right? We're working on one right now that we hope to have out not too long, but it'll be a virtual coach inside of our organization. They will have basically the last 10 plus years of information, transcripts, and videos all fed to it. So it is going to become kind of we were laughing the other day, what do we call this thing? We haven't got a name for it yet. One of ours is called Howie. So we're like, well, what else do we call this one? Bob or something? I don't know. We'll figure out a name. But you can basically ask it a question and it will be able to tell you based on the video transcript and information from the last 10 years and the last 10 months or 10 minutes, or the last video that was just uploaded from last week's coaching session, what's the best methodology for optimizing PPC over a 7-day period? And it will pull out that information and the video and the specific format and say, here, this is the answer to your question. And so it has that ability to build these information sources and leverage these as tools and coaches and training tools to build better operators and faster operators and turn our systems and efficiencies up. Because right now we've got 7, 8 client businesses at 9 figures, and you can run those with just a handful of people now, which is something that's quite insane. You used to take decades to see a company reach 8 figures, and we can get to 8 figures in 4 years or less. Yeah, quite a world.
Yeah, and so when you mention customers,
Mm-hmm.
are you talking? Do you have multiple customers? Are you talking about? Can you clarify who your customers are?
So in Voltage, our customers are individuals or businesses who want to operate, grow, scale, and build or exit or even acquire in the Amazon space or e-commerce multi-channel space. Could be TikTok shops, Shopify, wholesale, or anything around the economics of an e-commerce brand that moves a physical private label product. Those are our clients. The customers would be anybody who purchases a product from us from one of those vehicles, one of those channels. And those customers are in the millions.
And so when you look at your partners, fellow business owners within your holdings company, do you look at them as customers or they're more so partners?
Yeah, we have both a client and a partner. So I have clients who are working with us under 12-month engagements to build and grow new brands and learn and train to become a CEO operator. Or I have existing brands that come in and say, hey, we've tried or we want to get on the Amazon or we're on Amazon as an FBA channel and we haven't really been able to grasp hold of it, monetize it, really trade it, time for money, too much. Our teams haven't been able to make this work. Can you guys help consult with us? Can you help us do this? And then we have a product partnership program with which in our clients who are raising up their own companies, if they decide to partner with us after some time together, learning this ropes and getting into a trust, we have Voltage Product Partners, which allows them to work directly with us in an owner equity position, which they do become true partners down to the sale agreement, down to the operating agreement, at which point we take a percentage and they take a percentage of ownership and we bring up a new brand. But we control the growth, the pipeline, and everything. And for them, it becomes almost automated income. Because their job is to, they help with the financing and the oversight. They help learn the operations and controls, but Voltage actually manages and controls the whole operation for them. And it is specifically on private label brand, and it is not something I take anybody into who is not already trained as a CEO operator. They must have been trained and understood the mechanisms by which we run the company, the policies and procedures that we run within the business, so they can understand how we do it. If someone just comes in directly and is like, well, I want, here's my money, I want a partner, and I want my side hustle cash, I want my mailbox money, I'm probably going to say no, unless they are a direct referral from somebody already doing it, who's understood and expected how to do it. There are a lot of gotchas in this world out here with these types of businesses who think that Voltage does online and Amazon automation and wholesaling and retail arbitrage and shop your way to wealth and all that nonsense, and we don't. We're a pure branded DTC and FBA multi-channel play. Don't play in drop shipping products. You don't play with the wholesale nonsense and retail arbitrage, and we don't do Amazon automation stores. These are branded private label companies. The goal is to get them to an exitable state in 3 and 5 years so we can acquire them. So as we build up each one, we're looking to acquire that within the company. If we own a portion of it and the time comes to sell, we may own 100% of it after we buy out the partner later on.
Right. How do you determine which entities you'll create?
So yeah, the business, it literally doesn't matter what we call it. The holding company owns 1% of it, and we'll form an LLC to be named in what's called a disregarded entity. And that entity will become a saleable entity on Amazon, and we'll develop a brand no one's ever heard of. And the brand takes 10 minutes to develop a brand no one's ever heard of, because we're going to leverage Amazon until the point where it becomes a household brand name. We have certain methodologies and the way we choose them and what kind of names and language we're looking for. We simply follow that process to create that brand. And then it's more determining who's the customer target avatar we're after. The products are typically $50 to $250 in retail price point. We have a team that's already in there. We have our system that's already in there developing and moving products. So if it is on a partnership side, we simply pick one of those out of our already running product vetting pipeline, and we give it to our product partnership company instead. Otherwise, it's in our internal product pipeline to be launched within our company. So we simply pull one out and give it to them instead.
Right. And so how do you determine which product service between 50 and you said $200?
$50 to $250 in retail or more. It just depends. Some of our products are in the $400 or $500 range too. The goal really gets down to profitability at the end of the day. Profitability of the product, minimum $12 in net profit per unit, preferably $40, $50 to $60 in net profit per unit is a good spot. We want the ability to acquire that customer, so we need the ability to acquire them, and that comes out of the capitalization of each unit and the ability to acquire one customer and a return on that advertising spend. So we know that if we can beat the competition who might have $24 in profit and we have $48, well, we're going to take the extra $30 and spend it on acquiring the customer away from them, right? Because as a brand, then we're going to look at the second and third products and nth amount of products in our brand that we can sell them after we've acquired them. Many people are thinking first customer acquisition. I only want to get this first sale. They still think that even if they've heard me say this, but they aren't really applying it in their business as a brand. They're not really thinking about how that customer will buy a second, third, and fourth product from them. So they aren't willing to pay for certain levels of acquisition of that customer upfront that we're willing to pay. So if we know we can acquire a customer for at least 1 to 2 times the profit, and we know our pipeline numbers on that product have secondary products behind it, gear, accessories, or brandable related, or even just buying 2 of them, knowing that numbers work, we'll acquire that customer upfront for whatever it costs to do it. And that's what most people don't understand. Now, there's a reason we do that on Amazon too, is because Amazon's one of the only locations, I believe, besides Etsy, where you can actually rank your products in their search engine by paying for it with PPC traffic inside of their system. So if I get what's called my TACOS, total advertising cost to sale, really dialed in, like 8 to 15% on those 50 to 250 or higher retail price points, then I know I've got an organic ranking coming up over here, which is full price sales. And I know I've got to pay X amount over here, the ACost, advertising cost of sale for that customer. And what I want to combine together is my TACOS. If my TACOS is within, say, 25% when I launch, but I know that over time it's going to come down to 20% and then 19% and down to 15%, and I'm going to dial that in, that's where my growth really takes off. There's where there's a line in there that actually comes along with that brand to determine how fast of growth, and we can scale it between organic and PPC. And the goal here is to maximize the amount of organic. So we shoot for trying to get 60 to 80% of the product organically sold and 20 to 30% on the marketing side. That ensures profitability and growth really has an opportunity to go up. Those products are identified in the data. So the answer you may be looking for is, well, I go out and I look for a specific product, but what I'm actually looking for is first, can I sell the dang thing? Sales fixes everything. So we look at all the data first, competition data, profitability of that data. Can I sell a unit of it profitably in the marketplace? And I know somebody is already selling it. The question is, can I sell that product? Is there anything that will stop me, Amazon, acts of God, or otherwise, that will stop me from selling a unit of that product in the marketplace, even if it's exactly like another product in the marketplace right now, okay? I know the product's good. I know that it won't get a negative review. I'm expecting a great transaction because that's what that product is supposed to do, complete the transaction 2 days after it's being bought, right? Because when you buy a product, you have to wait sometimes up to 7 days to get the product. So you didn't actually buy the product. What you bought was the outcome. The product is simply making the transaction, ethical and closing in your mind that the transaction occurred properly, right? That the business was done correctly. The question you will obviously have is, did it break? Is it what I wanted? Do I need to return it? Or am I really happy with this product? Am I so happy with it, I'm going to leave it a review. That's when the product actually kicks in. And it's important to have a great product, make no mistake. But the first thing is, can I actually sell the dang thing? And when people think too much on the product, they will typically take too long, get into paralysis analysis on the product, thinking that they've got to go do a Shark Tank style product maneuver, right? Which is way too far into the invention stage, and never actually get into the innovation of the products. So if I get that product out there and I validate that product will sell 100 units under my account, at my price point, in my brand, at this time in the market, then I know with confidence if all that numbers work and it all green lights through that market test phase, I will go to a full 1,000 unit product launch. At that point, I know to put good money and have good data into a good product where I will then innovate that product at that moment. The next 1,000, I'll make slight changes, maybe 2 to 3 changes to the product to innovate away from the one that I was originally selling in the marketplace, which will simply just be answering additional questions in the customer's mind to fulfill that transaction even more strong. which will give me opportunity to optimize the front end marketing over here a little bit more by adding some more benefits into the language of the copy and the images to just tweak it just a little bit because I already know it works. And then see how fast can I turn over that 1,000 units, hopefully in 90 days. Once I do that, I now know I have a product that will have a 12-month run rate, and it's just one product, one line. So then the question is, well, how do you grow it? Well, I'm going to go find 10 more of those, right? 10 more of them to widen the brand out the same way that you have an iPhone, most likely. And if you do, you have the iWatch, and then you got the iPad, and you got the iMac, and then you buy one for your wife and your kids and your family and whatever, and your significant other. And so now you got all these products out here in this base. We just simply borrow that same thing from retail in the e-commerce world. So we'll get our products and businesses dialed in on one account with one brand line, moving 12, 20 SKUs, all in that one niche vertical. It's hyper relevant. And when done correctly in the system, and something like Amazon, in 3-4 years, you can be running 15 to 20 million a year in sales.
Right. And that's across, you said, how many SKUs?
Our initial base of SKUs we test in a brand is what's called our 5x5 product launch playbook. Okay. That means we need 5 products in there running an average organic sales of 5 units per product per day. So that's 25 units minimum, $300 a day in profit. Roughly, if we're at the net 12, more than that, of course, if you're at 24, 36 or whatever in your profit. The goal there is just to prove that multiple SKUs in the market can sell, and then I can replicate those scales into 10, 20 other SKUs that complete and widen out the brand expectation of anybody who touched that original product. Okay, so the original, just to give you a visual, that original product could be a bike. Hypothetically, I don't sell bikes. But from that bike, it could then be, well, I sold the headlight, I sold the special seat, I now sold the panniers, I sold the calipers, I sold the disc brakes, I sold the water bottle. So you could literally end up having somebody spend $1,000, $2,000 or more, $3,000, $4,000 on higher end product basis after consuming the first one from us, right? So then that brand literally widens out 5x5 into the brand base to create a holistic portfolio of somebody's connectivity to that brand. If I'm going to go buy X bike, well, I'm going to buy all the gear from X brand too. The same way that you're going to trust the brand and trust any gear and accessories they sell as well. We just follow that same tactic, that same strategy that's been in retail for decades. And we just apply it to e-commerce.
Right. So it sounds like 15 to 20 SKUs.
So the 5x5 is to get the first 5, but each of those 5 has the capability of running out, say, 50 different variations along each one of those, right? So the real question is, I want to get to the amount of SKUs that are making up 80% of all of my profits. What I don't want is a whole bunch of SKUs that are barely selling and a few that are selling really well. That's not an optimized account. An optimized account is the majority of the SKUs in the account are selling really well, right? By my definition, what's really well. It's how many I can move of that profitably every month while maintaining that good taco score and seeing it grow quarter by quarter, year by year, right? Giving it time and market to grow and move faster. So it's really getting down to how many SKUs is how much money you want to make in the marketplace. And the more SKUs you launch, the more money you're going to make. Some of them are not going to hit. Some of them are not going to be there forever. Every product has a life cycle. It really comes down to the brand. That's why there are 10 and 20 different brands of pizza and burgers and other kinds of brands out there who constantly move different types of products. Each product has a particular life cycle. Look at Coke Zero or New Coke. Those came in and went out really fast. And there's Old Coke, just as an example. Our products and brands do the same thing. There'll be some that live 24, 36 months. Some go on to live 3 to 5 years. And some may be out there for a year or 16 months. And it's like, well, then they come back down again. They just didn't have a huge life cycle, which is fine because we're going to constantly keep moving new product in the marketplace.
And that 5x5 model, if I'm running it within one of these brands, what's an average amount of SKUs per brand?
So here's the thing. More sellers on Amazon have less than 5 SKUs than those that have more. So with Amazon's own brand admission, the more products you put in the system, the more relevant your seller account is. Okay. So just the pro tip is have more than 5 SKUs because that's like 70% of Amazon sellers have less than 5 actual branded private label, SKUs in their accounts. So we know this as a metric by which more maturity and account maturity and brandability, and Amazon's brand team has backed this up and said the more products you put into your brand, the more we're going to send you out, the more relevant you're going to be, and the more traffic you're going to get. So it's basically an average of 5, but it could be up to 12 to 20, depending upon how much gear, accessories, and variations you have of that particular brand set. Pretty soon you're going to reach a point where you're like, well, I've tried enough of the other variations that just didn't sell very well. So here's the core base of this. So now my opportunity is to go and launch into new channels. My opportunity is to go to TikTok shops and grab demand creation, get influencers and videos out there, get the audience and creation going, because 30% of them are going to fall back to Amazon. And now with the new initiative between Amazon and TikTok, connecting the platforms together, so very shortly you're going to be able to just buy Amazon products directly inside of TikTok. This is going to be a game changer for Amazon sellers who are paying attention, because we're now going to be able to leverage the virality and live demand creation that's huge. Like we just set some records this year on the largest live streams ever on TikTok shops, right? One guy did like 5 million in 3 hours, which is insane. So it's QVC level types of stuff happening now through that platform, giving you the ability to then increase ranking, of course, on Amazon, increase your ability to drive more revenue. And that increases the multiples and valuation of the company increases as well. For every channel you open that gains at least 5% new revenue on that additional channel, you could add a 1 to 2 basis points to the bottom line at time of exit.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I have said it multiple times, but I certainly have been inspired by your story and understanding of the marketplace, your industry, and building a big vision and a lot of support and infrastructure for creating enterprise value and doing it efficiently. That 4-year ramp period to an 8-figure organization, and having some ownership and knowing that you've been certified and trained. It really is inspiring to see the organization that you built. And I love what you're doing with the military aspect and veterans, and providing a really solid opportunity to provide value in the marketplace. That's what it's all about. That's what we've been talking about, and doing it in the e-commerce space, and doing it on the back, or I should say, in partnership with an incredible organization like Amazon. That those orders are going to be fulfilled, and the sophistication there is just incredible. I love the approach and perspective, and the wisdom that you provide to your organization. Clearly, you have lived it and been dedicated to your American dream there on your acreage with your family, and creating a lifestyle business. If you were to provide a 30-second elevator pitch, what would you say?
Well, I would say if anybody's really serious about e-commerce, understand that it's a 3 to 5 year endeavor if you truly want to make it a life-changing opportunity, right? The E-Myth motto of do anything, do what others will not do for 3 to 5 years so you can live like no one else. We actually extol that in the way we do business. If you're looking for a side hustle or a hobby business, don't get involved in e-commerce in this way. Private label brand building has an intrinsic upside value to it, an exitable or saleable asset. So whatever you're building has legacy and wealth generational capabilities when done correctly. Things to get families involved, bring your kids in, bring your older children, bring your wife or significant other to the table. We've got mostly family-driven individuals running these companies because they're building with that end in mind. They're building with the exit, right? And these businesses are worth way more at the exit than at any time during the business building phase. So if you think about it as a business building endeavor, a true life-changing opportunity to build a lifestyle in something that you could do in 3 to 5 years, took me 17 years. I can help you do it in 3 to 5. And that's of interest to you, then understand this is a capital intensive relationship too. These typically will take 50 to 100K to build out in year 1, so that growth in year 2 and scale in year 3 and 4 is a real possibility. But if you put that down into terms of real estate or other types of investments, it's really on par with similar types of investment strategies in other ways, if you think about it. But the cash on cash value, the ability to return a 1 to million capabilities of delivering 10,000 units to individuals every year and being able to do it and with almost automated income, do it in locations, do it from a laptop, do it without ever touching the physical products and leveraging these infrastructures to do it. If that sounds of any interest to you, then check out what we're doing. It is an application-only process. You will talk to me, and not a good fit. We won't work together, but if we get in the boat, I want to make sure we're rowing in the same direction together. It's very important because there's a lot of upside potential for these operators.
Yeah, that's certainly inspiring. How many folks have joined or currently?
Not a lot. And since 2019, when we started offering this, about 275. So we have kept it pretty small. As I mentioned, this is not a course and a program. I look for 3 to 5 individuals a month or so who I think might qualify to come into the process and work with us for a year, because it is very one-on-one and direct, done with you, consultation and live coaching every week together, weekly calls, for 12 months. So I don't bring a whole lot of people into that. And I'm specifically looking for a kind of profile of person, a little bit of a unicorn in the way that they think and develop and can be trained and aptitude trained into that. Even if they've been in the corporate world for 20 years, it's a specific aptitude that I'm looking for. And so they come through and we have that conversation and we find out whether or not it's a good fit for their next move.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. What a great opportunity. You said 250 plus operators, correct?
Correct. Over the last, what are we at, 5 years now? Since 2019? Got to do math in my head. Things are moving extremely fast. This year's gone so fast. Yeah, and I have at least 80 active businesses right now in our current customer base. Those are people doing anywhere from startup to mid 5 to 6 figures, all the way up to 9 figures, who are all part of a community that continues to meet every week and masterminds and growth and opportunities and multi-channel e-commerce. We meet for a couple hours every week.
Awesome. And if somebody is interested in learning more, how can they do that?
Very simple. Just go to, and that really is a chicken because I live on a homestead, or I would shut it off. I'm not being rude. So, always have to say that. That is not my technology. That is an actual chicken. They can go to voltagedm.com, voltagedigitalmarketing.com, and check out a free presentation with myself and Kevin Harrington. He was the co-author of the foreword of this book, a good friend of mine. And you can learn about our as seen on TV strategy for developing and capturing those brands. And then have there's information, the book you should check out. There's free materials, free training, anything around this that makes you, learn a little more. You invest in what you know, or you invest in the knowing. That's the opportunity everybody has. And check me out online. It's a really short last name. If you type Neil Twa, you'll find me. I'm all across the internet, LinkedIn, anywhere else. Feel free to connect with me.
Neil, it's certainly been a pleasure. You heard it directly from Neil Twa, the founder and CEO of Vintage Holdings. What a wonderful opportunity. Reach out for more information, smash the subscribe button, and drop a comment down below. And as always, thanks for leveling up. Take care.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Level Up with Nick Lopez show. Remember, it's never too late to get started on your entrepreneurial journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed today's segment. Catch us again next week and visit limepainting.com for more of the Level Up with Nick Lopez show.